And you know what's frustrating is that our situation is that it's so easily fixable. And I think that's what drives me crazy, because every time a child is born, there's possibilities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have the ability to have a generation of black folks that's raised differently if we put the institutions in place to do that. But we have no, it's just, I noticed that we don't really even think about our youth in that sense. We don't think about how are our babies going to operate in this world. It's like we just have them. We have them, and you know, we get the Pampers and we get the formula or whatever, and we just go through the motions, but we don't think systematically, how is my child going to exist in this world? You know?
It's
like,
true,
like
and
I
it's
just
sad,
say,
but that's where
this is a solution for me. Like, this is something that I think is very practical. If we were to set up an institution where we can teach our children knowledge of self, knowledge of their history and their culture at a preschool level, so that they don't have to go through life searching with a map and a flashlight to find out who they are. If we could do that, just that one thing, we could probably turn this thing around within one generation.
It's true, but who's going to do that? You know what I mean? Who's going to be willing to do that? And that's what I think.
The people who know what time it is.
Yeah, but we say that, but it doesn't. It doesn't. For the most part, it doesn't happen. It's like where it starts. I agree. It starts with the kids. Like, because today these kids, I feel sorry for them. It's like really sad. They're like lost, and that's because their parents are lost. But unless we have positive role models that are willing to go into the communities and give back and, you know, teach these kids, it is what it is. It's just going to be. It is. The culture is just going to be screwed up. Because I
can't accept that. And you know why I can't accept that? I can't accept it because it's like saying, I know my kid is going to get hit by that Mack truck, so why should I even stop it?
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't stop it, but it's going to take you, instead of, like, talking about it, like, we all each have to, like, want to get involved. Like, for me, I am very involved. I decided that I would use the black church as my way to get to deal with kids. So that's what I do. And because I think that that's the problem with the church. Like, the black church should be doing that. Like, that's what we should do. That's one thing that we do own and we can do. So I think it just takes people willing to stand up. So I support our black youth and in our church, and I try to be a positive role model for them and talk to them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to a youth event tomorrow night just to support them. And I think that's what it takes, because some of the kids, like, especially like with my church, their parents are not really involved, but that doesn't mean I can't be involved. You know what I mean? I can be a role model to you know, the kids. And there are a lot of kids that people will say, oh, these kids are problematic, and they'll just give up on them. But I don't believe that. I believe that sometimes you have to just meet people on their level, but you can make a difference if you know, are passionate about what you want to do and you really are willing to put in the time. You know, you can make an impact. So I think instead of talking about it, a lot of us that, you know, want change, we need to really get involved. We need to, like, get out there.
We need to connect with each other, too. We need to network with each other and get with people of like mind. Because it's not going to be, there's never going to be a situation where the entire black race decides that it's going to get it. It's going to be a few people who are the architects, just like it was a few people who were pioneers for this country.
Right.
It wasn't a whole bunch. It was a few people. And those few people have to acknowledge what the problem is, and they have to go about the process of fixing it. And I think that it's so easily fixable, our situation. The only difficult part is getting the people who know what time it is to get some cohesion amongst each other so that they can work together. It doesn't require everybody. And, this is another thing. Because you had said something earlier, and I wanted to address it because about the not all white people hating black people. I look at it that when it comes to that issue, I look at it as like this. I'm going to pick an ethnic group just out of the sky, Chinese people. You have Chinese people who have Chinatown wherever they are. Wherever they go, they set up a Chinatown where it's nothing but Chinese folks in their neighborhood. They have businesses where you don't see nobody but Chinese people working there. But the Chinese people have never been called separatists.
Nope, never.
Even though they operate more separatists than black folks have ever operated. But nobody accuses them of separates, and they can do that and have no cognitive dissonance about working with other people. Chinese people will take $1 from anybody. They do not discriminate in that sense. They do business with every ethnic group on the planet, but their internal structure is just Chinese. And everybody operates that way. I think what it is that black folks seem to think that if they come together collectively amongst themselves, that they're hating white folks. It ain't got nothing to do with white folks. White folks are totally irrelevant to what we have to do as a people to get our shit together. And just because we want to get together, it doesn't mean that we hate them. It has nothing to do with them.
No, I said that to say that a lot of times when you do, like you said, when you do say, I'm trying to, I'm standing with my people, I'm supporting, black people, I want to build us up, a lot of times people tend to think that's racist. And it's what you said, it's not racist. It's not.
I agree.
But on the flip side, a lot of times it is racist because a lot of times people that do say that, they are racist. And I just said that to put it out there that I don't think that way. But I feel like exactly what I said. Like, I do think we need to do something for our people. But the problem is, I think the biggest problem is what you said, that there aren't any black leaders. We really don't have black leaders anymore.
Right.
And that, I think, is the biggest problem. Because, like, back in the 70s, everyone had, like, black power and everyone was together. We don't have any of that now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like the 60s and the 70s, they had that. We have no one. And so I think that's another thing. We kind of got a little bit too comfortable because we are in higher positions. And there are a lot of people that could be potential leaders, but they're not willing to take that position. So until we each decide to put forth, ourselves and really make a difference, we will be, unfortunately, we're going to stay in the same place.
And I agree with what TJ said about the jealousy factor.
Yeah, they're jealous.
Let's just turn it around and let's flip the whole entire script. Let's say that black folks enslaved a race of people and did them dirty. They acknowledged that they did this race of people dirty. If after we get them out of chattel slavery, right, and they're sitting there as a nation of battered people, and members of that representative of those people say, you know what, we don't want to get revenge on you for what you did to us. All we want is for us to get our own. How would it look if black folks were to tell that group, oh, no, what, you trying to get away from us? You trying to be racist against us? It wouldn't even make any sense. We would probably go, you know what, you're right. You need to get amongst yourselves and empower yourselves. But white folks react very strangely when it comes to black folks wanting to empower themselves. They feel threatened by that. Which I find that odd, because then whenever you start talking about black issues, the white person always jumps in, and this is why I always tell black folks, white people will always try to put themselves at the nucleus of your reality. They always want everything to be centered around them. It's like the Million Man March. The Million Man March had nothing to do with white folks. Nothing. Zero. But they had to inject themselves into the equation. Oh, you being so-and-so is a racist, and da-da-da-da. Who gives a shit? What has got to do with you?